Welcome everyone to a fine little Linux live stream here from this channel. I mentioned previously also the level work, Verge, Voodoo, and theoretically PowerVR reverse engineering. Someday I wanted to reverse engineer the Matrox Parhelia, and for this some months ago I prepared PowerVR Curo. Not really sure if we will reverse engineer just that, but one card I have here on the shelves for a decade, also not the most visible, but now whatever. Matrox Parhelia, or in this case P690, from the time when Matrox was still a graphic card vendor. And today I've finally taken the time here to get this working, basically the €6.90 card here, for quite some time on the shelves. And before we start a little bit Linux Quake live streams, this basically is just an update, like, hey, I spent a couple of hours fighting with this bullshit. Bullshit in terms of, yes, binary only driver. Not only NVIDIA can do this, but Matrox also. Back in the day I was a Matrox fan, fan in terms of G200, G400. I had those cards when back in the day that was one of the only open source drivers. Let's quit this here. So for this pain, I took a very old release, because it's binary only drivers. MTX, by the way, in case you probably never heard about this Matrox drivers, MTX for whatever, Matrox, newer technology stuff. And that game is, questions in the audience already, is Quake 3. So for this I took a very old T2 release of our fine little build from source stuff and spent here an hour or two compiling, because yeah, binary only driver stuff, you need just this kernel and just this X server. So we are running here a, let's uname, oops, also what keyword, so uname 26, yes, good old totally vintage stuff, 2630, although it's already slightly out of specification, with an Xorg release of 9Q Xorg server 1.5. This is, yeah, you can't use latest and greatest as much as I would wish, but yeah, the kernel is stressing it a little bit. I think the Matrox MTX driver is specified for 2629, so this is already slightly out of spec, but works anyway. But anyway, sometime soon. Why do I do this? Because I need a working driver. Either I need a Windows installation, and Windows, thank you very much, or Linux. I hope reverse engineering this eventually might be easier from Linux. Unfortunately, we don't have sound, because this fine little board, which I will present to you another live stream or video, has, I only realized today, it has USB connected audio for whatever reason, and it is, as much as I prefer digital capture, not capturing this digital today, for the simple reason that then I don't have the live picture, and then it's just simply too laggy. So bear with me. So let's start X server, and you might notice this fine little binary only driver has some startup here, Matrox Parhelia, whatever, excellence, whatever that was. We can take a look. Excellence, let's see what was written there. High fidelity graphics, yeah, high fidelity, but not very much fun. This is a totally bare bones installation, although I usually use black box. Usually I have it a little bit more pretty configured. It's a totally from scratch vintage installation today, just for this reverse engineering another day. So that is T2, also not CD, but CAT. So T2 8, also might be slightly tiny. We could certainly zoom that in a little bit. Yeah, from 2010, because vintage driver fame. I mounted the same Quake 3 that we used, if you're interested in this, PowerVR, a couple of months ago. And yes, eventually, the more share, like, and subscribe, I will reverse engineer this just for the fun of it. And this is binary only stuff similar to NVIDIA. You need to exchange your system Mesa library with Matrox special stuff. And this is a total Frankenstein installation, in that it's a 64-bit, well, of all the things, 64-bit build, but my Quake here, at least this binary only Quake stuff from 2000, Quake 3 is 32-bit, so unexpectedly that even works in this multi-lib configuration. So yeah, user, source, and Quake 3, I hope it was that one, or maybe it wasn't. I have here actually the previous video, I have here the full metal box, but I'm not getting the CD-ROM out today, just for that. And yeah, as I said, one really strange thing is that audio doesn't work, because yeah, this stuff of course uses OSS emulation, and so yeah, whatever. And it looks surprising. Yeah, darn, I should have, there's so much to rebooting. Does it have a history? No, what was it? CG, oh hey, this has even tab completions. It was frame, what was it? CG, draw FPS equals, what, how does it work? Equals 1, I hope. Command, maybe that? No. What if, I think it was usage at variable. Oops. So much to that. Already. Also, this has some. It has tab completion, but invalid. What? Whatever. So the resolution is relatively high. 1152 by 864. I could run this significantly higher, but it becomes not very nicely playable. We could fully max this out. Why did it? Wait a second. Oh, this doesn't have 1920. Anyway, maybe we use this resolution, and yeah, sound should work, but somehow it doesn't. That comes from, yeah, USB connected audio stuff. So let's, without further ado, where was it? Also single player. What is slightly strange is that this navigation is slightly laggy for whatever strange reason, but yeah, whatever. So it looks runs surprisingly well, but I don't have. The problem is with installing just this snowflake release of Xorg server and stuff. I don't have numbers for other graphic cards here around, but certainly it should be significantly slower, significantly faster than the PowerVR, certainly the Kuro, or is it? Actually, it should be slightly newer, to be honest. But yeah, it runs quite snappy. It's a shame, in my opinion, that yeah, also talking tech stuff and playing. It's a shame that Matrox never released a specification. Maybe Matrox would still be in business if they would have treated the open source people better. And but yeah, they didn't. And all they had to do, recurring theme here, all we ask for is releasing this specification. But yeah, somehow on Windows they were not as competitive, and on Linux they could have simply let the open source people write the driver, and this binary only stuff certainly very few people wanted to use. And yeah, also the game would be more fun with, by the way, there we have a frame counter. Why did I not? Maybe this wasn't visible in the menu or whatever. Yeah, anyway, you know the game, certainly more fun with sound, but that's what we get from an NVIDIA-based motherboard with USB audio. Anyway, let's see what questions do we have in the audience. Quake 3, incredible Quake 2 game, PS3 running something. Anyway, yeah, leave me in the comments below. This is basically just an update of, yeah, I got the stuff working. It was rather involving to get this. Yeah, even the issue is also OneNote, even emerging this with our build from source stuff, which, by the way, does it look slightly better if not that it matters the most. One issue is actually, you would think building this from source, easy peasy, just take here this sources and build them, but the problem is that the stuff is disappearing from the mirrors. So even with our T2 stuff, it becomes increasingly difficult. Ah, darn. It becomes increasingly difficult just to get the sources. And the problem is I have mirrors and we have from the releases the main sources on the mirrors, but I don't have, for emerging, the problem is the releases are a couple of years apart, and if I then need just this kernel and just this X server, they are not on the mirror. And then even Mesa, in previous times it was to be downloaded on SourceForge, and then they moved to their own server, and then you need to manually, that is totally error prone and annoying and time consuming to hunt all the sources, and while they are available, you need to edit then in T2 or Gentoo or whatever, you need to edit the download sources, and even then the next problem is secure connections, then your SSL certificates are out of date, and then you get SSL connection issues, stuff not downloading, SSL protocol version mismatch and certificate not known and stuff like this. So long story short, it takes hours just to get the stuff working. That's also the problem with binary only stuff, right? I mean, beside, I never wanted this because leading edge kernel work, and first of all I want to debug the stuff, right? If this stuff would be crashing every now and then, you can't fix it, and because you certainly don't have the source, and then I certainly don't want to work on a workstation where stuff randomly doesn't work and you can't debug it, and you update to the latest and greatest Linux kernel and stuff doesn't work, stuff doesn't build, and all the fun stuff. Anyway, mostly wanted to present you the update. We can, by the way, theoretically, image quality, by the way, another fun fact. So this is a relatively, for the time, probably quite high resolution. I checked this already before. What is default, by the way? Default 16, yeah, whatever. Default. Just switching here to geometric detail high, and let alone trilinear resolution, which, by the way, this is a real deal of Matrox Parhelia. Just switching to trilinear filtering nearly halves the frame rate, and yeah, 14 frames, not the most amazing, and what else did I wanted to say? Let alone high resolution. This is, however, a relatively beefy system, right? This is a dual core Athlon 64, 6000 whatever. So yeah, 25 frames, but as soon as action is happening, it's not as, yeah, well, actually 30 frames, but yeah, not as much, 34. I mean, yeah, not totally bad, but yeah, I mean, for the time, maybe relatively okay-ish, but that's, again, that is a sad thing, right? Imagine you have a fine binary-only driver and nobody's using it because a rare card, and instead of making friends and supporting the Linux people, and like, yeah, I mean, they could have been #1 selling certainly for a time with this G200, G400. In my opinion, they were pretty popular, and I hooked up all my friends and family on Matrox cards because of the Linux driver, and they could have been still in business, in my opinion, if they would have released the specification. And one thing I wanted to say, one reason they might not have released the specification is maybe, I mean, what are they fearing, right? That NVIDIA and ATI are copying them. Shooting myself in the foot here, amazing stuff. Certainly ATI and NVIDIA were probably at times faster, and so the only thing that they might be worried about is that they get sued, right? That they use their stuff that is patented by NVIDIA or ATI. So in my opinion, one of the nearly only reasons to not release specification is getting sued and so much to patents. Patents for innovation, my ass. But yeah, anyway, sad story. But another day I will try to reverse engineer this, not really sure. It's of course rather pointless, but it's just this kind of would have been fun to have, and we do it here for the fun and entertainment. So yeah, some stuff. 3 things to reverse engineer this binary only capture thing. Probably I will do this first. It's probably should be a weekend job, hopefully. This Epiphone capture dongle thing, and then eventually someday between now and forever, hopefully on this fun channel. But this is also why I try to grow this YouTube channel here, having means to do this. It's of course only an historic exercise, not really production system or vitally necessary, but just this fun anecdotes of historic relicts. But leave in the comments below what you think. At least it's somewhat enjoyable, and certainly where do you see this, right? I mean, some people might install it on Windows, and come on, do we need to get in a fist fight here? Or anyway, probably I need to practice a little bit Quake 3 skills, a little bit rusty. But yeah, for a fun ride, we can try the very high resolution. Maybe to be fair, let's not use trilinear and not use high, and see how that goes. Leave in the comments below what you think. Probably open Power VR for Intel GMA and mobile silicon much more important. Well, important of. Yeah, this is also the fun stuff. It was in GNU Priority Project, this Power VR, and nothing came out of there. The whole website is gone. But yeah, this frame rate actually, it's unplayable. You don't want to play with 10 frames, so yeah, so much to that. Rather take this. Also, yeah, this is super. I mean, you don't see this, but this is. I don't understand how this can be as laggy. It's like lagging a second, whatever they've done there with a mouse cursor. But yeah, this is relatively okay-ish. Or what do? We have 1200 probably. Let's see how that is going. But yeah, that's the fun stuff to prepare. But even reverse engineering with this stuff, months, weeks and months work. And certainly it wasn't as important as NVIDIA. This is why nobody has done it. Fun fact, NVIDIA has requested, I said this before already, probably in the Power VR Kuro live stream, NVIDIA has requested an open source repository for this Parhelia P690. So at one point they somehow probably maybe wanted to open source something, and I even mailed them a couple of times, hey, what happened with your P690 repository, which you will still find empty there on freedesktop.org. So really said that maybe they prepare to release something but haven't. And if you are at NVIDIA and if you still want to release something, that would be pretty cool, if just for showing goodwill and historic museum kind of vintage documentation. Where is the other? Hey, there's a. Anyway, pretty fun. If we should do more Linux gaming, leave me in the comments below. Certainly need to get more into that. Although I have to admit, certainly I showed this, I voted with my wallet, I purchased the metal box, but I think I was never the very best in Quake 3. Somehow I preferred, somehow this is too hectic, although I'm certainly aware that many people liked it a good deal, but I somehow preferred more strategic games. It's a little bit too hectic for my taste, but I hope that doesn't trigger one. But anyway, maybe I should maybe sometime soon do some Horizon AMD Radeon gaming with modern games, that maybe some more strategic whatever. But anyway, leave in the comments below if you should do more Linux gaming. If you are waiting for this reverse engineering stuff, then yeah, I'm also, how do we reverse engineer this? There's actually kernel infrastructure for that, MMIO trace, for memory mapped IO trace. So this would allow us to have the Linux kernel trace. Also here's some, it's probably not the most ideal thing to, although I probably managed that so much to not the most clever, and then we frack him. So MMIO trace that would allow us to trace this from the kernel. I'm just not sure if this would allow us to trace the user space stuff, because it's two parts. So I tested this, documenting this here. Also, most IT people don't like, but you see, we're getting into it again, a decade or two later, getting into Quake 3 again. And so yeah, tracing this I/O writes, this read and writes to memory mapped I/O locations. And what I wanted to say is the Xorg, the 2D part, works without the kernel module. I tested this today, and a fun fact, it's the first time, the first time I ever tried this. So I had this card here for €6.90 on the shelves for a decade or two, and today it's the first time I got to try this. But switch to that. But yeah, so the 2D part works without the kernel module. So very theoretically, it might be possible to use the latest kernel with a vintage Xorg server, or you port the kernel glue similar to NVIDIA style. It should probably maybe possible to port this, although relatively pointless. I rather MMIO trace. So what would this would allow us to, although by the way, is this asshole-ish to just stand there and frag everyone from the distance, but also might be wrong. Anyway, that's what we get. So MMIO trace, so this, not sure if it only works for kernel stuff, or if when tracing, although maybe it works on physical addresses and would allow us to, anyway, we would need to test this. So how this works is you would trace this memory mapped IO stuff, and then ideally, because if you just trace this, you would have a mountain of random data. That is certainly not the easiest to make sense out of. But then you would ideally, also I think this was, hey, 42 frames with nothing to see. Ideally, you would use a example application, so you would use something like drawing a rect, even like moving an X window, so to determine what memory mapped IO stuff is bitBLT, what is copy, what is this fun stuff. So you would just move, like do one action, like just move a window, and then with this memory mapped IO trace figure out which of those are bitBLT, which are solid fill, which are texturing and stuff, and then one by one you would decode this, of course, as you can imagine, and probably the NVIDIA Novo people can tell you, rather time consuming affair, and then one step, one by one, would decode this. And maybe I try this soon, maybe I try this low-hanging, like use this is why I installed this today. Maybe I try to do solid fills and bitBLT for a start, and then see what we're getting. Certainly the 3D stuff is rather time consuming, but even there you would start with solid, like writing and taking an OpenGL example application and write just one solid rectangle and then shaded rectangle and then textured rectangle, triangle, I mean vertex. And so yeah, this is how you do it, and yeah, totally time consuming. This is why very few people do it and why I have not done this. And yeah, but as I said, the first step, even this was somewhat time wasting, getting this old vintage stuff to work. But yeah, hey, it didn't crash yet, so much to that, at least something. Anyway, that's it for it. I have to go home actually. I hope you enjoyed this and learned something, and as always, leave in the comments below what you want to see more, what you want to see less, if this is interesting, if we should do some Linux gaming competition stuff. But anyway, at least after it's working, it's at least somewhat enjoyable when finally you can enjoy the fruits of your hard work. Yeah, there is no someone to shoot here. There's someone. Anyway, let's see, quite some comments in the audience. Let's see what we got there. It's actually quite some stuff going on. Let's make that readable. So yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see. Yeah, also quite some comments. Like to see your computer hardware closet, diversity of architectures implementation. Jamerican, welcome there. Yeah, fun fact, I got this thing here, this board I just got here for this stuff. It's a rare beast. I got this for $30 just the other month for YouTube. It's the last of its kind. This is AM2 with an Athlon 6000 or so, Athlon X2 6000 or something. What is so special with this board? It's what is it even? Dual Alive, dual something, an NVIDIA Enforce or whatever chipset. The special thing is it has PCIe, PCI and AGP. So basically for our fun here, reverse engineering this, I thought one relatively modern board where we can plug everything in, like the Matrox Parhelia, the Kuro, what is it, Kuro whatever, Kuro 2 for PowerVR, and this is why I actually got it. Also, as I said, the Parhelia already $6.99, and with this prices it's actually more fun, this vintage stuff. Also, I wouldn't really recommend it the most, but if you want to do something on the budget, this Matrox Parhelia, also given the situation of no open source driver, not the most recommended, but at least it's a cheaper card. So yeah. What else do we have here? GNU Linux running on a PS3. Can you still get GNU Linux? Yes, we have done this PS3, latest and greatest Linux here on the PS3. Just all the other 20-30 videos already. Some people say yes, more games. T2 distro, PS3. So waiting Linux on the PS3, wondering if you could help running, then getting crypto mining. Crypto mining on the PS3 is not the most high performance, but Rebug PS3, more stuff. Anyway, how many drop frames? 2000 drop frames, thank you very much. And what else do we have? Compile Quake 3 engine available. Yes, it's they open sourced it, GPL, and other fun stuff I was thinking of maybe doing. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for fun stuff. I thought maybe I take the Quake 3 source code another day. I think we jumped off this thing. Yeah. I thought we maybe try, or was I maybe someday, not maybe, someday, between now and forever, we will actually try to run Quake 3 on the Spark. So don't forget to like and subscribe. So we will take the the source code someday. Also this jumping thing, there's a little bit, yeah. And see how it runs on an UltraSpark. So don't forget to like and subscribe for that fun. Like the Ultra 5, and take the Mesa driver, or of course eventually we are also working on our own, as seen previously on all the vintage stuff which we will continue with, that and having Quake running on bare metal or on microkernel the next years to come, but also testing on Linux on the UltraSpark and SGI Octane someday. So don't forget to like and subscribe depending on, so I probably should jump here to this fine stuff. And yeah, on the Octane on Linux, which also, hello, where's my mouse? That will certainly be fun. Certainly others have done it on IRIX, but as we are here for software development and writing on the vPro, it would be fun with the Octane, because the vPro, as said earlier, the SGI vPro is basically OpenGL in hardware, which means that we mostly, shooting ourselves in the foot there, we mostly only on the vPro, on the Octane, if we would have one, only need to pass the GL commands to the hardware, and the OpenGL stack is basically, as far as I've seen, fully implemented on the vPro, so that that should be relatively easy, much easier than this register bit banging stuff of this PC cards. But anyway, the next time I will see what this MMIO trace is giving us, and so yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe for MMIO tracing, Matrox Parhelia, and PowerVR Kuro. I'm really surprised, but yeah, this is a difference between people who do here, like on this channel, and the GNU project, where it was a priority project and I've not seen much. But anyway, if there's any fruits of this GNU priority PowerVR stuff and it's still laying around, I tried to Google, I've never seen something of that. Also, this is a... Anyway, so this is really sad, but given the state of GNU Herd, it's probably not a surprise. Where is the other lightning gun? It's certainly not a surprise for you that, yeah, GNU Herd, the PowerVR GNU priority project, is much finished as GNU Herd. But yeah, as I said earlier, the means of this YouTube channel is to build an audience and do this fun stuff, because otherwise only here live on this channel, financing reverse engineering with YouTube AdSense revenue and your donations. Also Patreon, if you want to support. If you can't await this day sooner than later, there's also Patreon, and which is pretty amazing, which also I should certainly, oops, that certainly was not amazing. I should certainly shout out all the amazing Patreons, which already quite some accumulated there, which certainly quite some motivation to continue with all this fine stuff. Here, FPGA, operating system, low-level drivers. But yeah, actually it runs surprisingly well. It didn't yet kernel, oops, although I saw already in the kernel log there are some warnings of failed allocations. Not sure what allocations fail, but when this 3D OpenGL stuff is running, we get some allocations failures, whatever they are about. And although it's running anyway, but so YOLO, whatever. And of course, when you do this kind of low-level stuff and we trace it, as I said, first solid fills, solid triangles, and stuff before you do all the textured stuff. And then, as per my other low-level stuff, first the small stuff, of course, similar to the NVIDIA Novo and so on. It takes quite some efforts and decoding of this register writes to have the full game running, so not promising that, but of course we also need to continue with this on the PS3. But also I do these different videos to have here some diversity, because certainly people do not want to see for a whole year. I don't want to trigger and scam here, but certainly neither for me nor for you it is the greatest fun when I only try to get PS3 stuff working. And I just do this stuff here from my archived shells just for the entertainment value, for you to show something new that also you might never heard about. So running into your enemy. You might have even never heard about Matrox or the Parhelia, and even trying to get this to work. Fun fact, I will do some extra work. I had this package, the Matrox MTX driver package, packaged in T2, but only very bare, most minimal. I never tried this, and like I only packaged this for historic archiving this. And I will actually do the extra mile later tonight with like a beer or wine from my couch at home and package this like that you can, I mean, just for history's sake, to have this, like being theoretically able to build this kernel driver, and just for the, for my making it easier for me. Also now I have it installed, but just in case to have it, just others delete, like in the Linux kernel, Spark Station and Spark Station 1 or 386. We keep here everything in working order from PS3 to SJ Octane until the day that T2 will be the only distribution. Do we not have here some better weapon? Which is, by the way, whatever. Anyway, leave in the comments below what you think. Also, people already said more gaming, and I missed some comments. Let's see what we have here. And it certainly is more fun with audio. Let's see, 21 people still watching, surprisingly. Let's see, what else here? JIT kernel, cool. Quite some comments. What do we have here? Something, how many drop frames? 3,000 drop frames, 4%. DOCSIS, cable, Vodafone, not recommended. And what else do we have there? Quake, we had this. Would like to see how you would work on your JIT kernel. Yeah, me too. What else do we have here? Welcome everyone. What's your channel? What's the channel? Are you on? Just saying what? What's the channel? Or are you on just saying find the video? What? Videos all there. There are some playlists with PS3 and SGI stuff. Anyway, that's it for today. I really have to go now. Thanks for tuning in. Called Mr. Yeah, there's a Mr. project, and if you're into FPGA stuff, we do this here too. What? We have 31, I mean, I somewhat. So the only reason, 30 actually quite some people watching, so we basically could theoretically, but yeah, summary here, streaming from our previously built badass AMD 39 previous videos, so yeah. Streaming here from Linux, not making this stuff up. This is here Linux running, pure Linux channel. Also AVI even. So yeah, ironically, the only binary thing running here right now is a bloody Matrox. Oh no, I have actually, this is not true. I have here two binary only things running. I have also the Epiphan USB VGA, DVI to USB stuff. So yeah, reverse engineering this piece of garbage coming sometime soon, like in a week or two. reverse engineering Matrox Parhelia and Kuro Power VR the next month or latest this winter. This is why I prepared this, installing this some month ago. Power VR sold out the DVI transmitter just for the freaking DVI SMD soldering fun, setting up this Matrox, like the afternoon of pain, getting this Matrox Parhelia garbage working. And there you see what have companies from this. They have nothing. They, instead of making friends in the Linux community, they have no friends. They are kind of nearly out of business. They are certainly not in the graphic integrated circuit business anymore. And they could have owned, in my opinion, they're in 2005, 6 something, they could have owned the high quality Linux workstation market if they would have, after the Matrox G200, G400, where it was one of the few open source drivers, they could have, in my opinion, owned all the high quality open source Linux workstation stuff. And what have they done instead of releasing and again, it costs these companies nothing except, okay, the only cost they could have, as I postulated earlier this live stream, if they get sued by NVIDIA, like they release a specification and then NVIDIA comes like, hey, you know what, as wasn't seen there in your specification, you violate our devs buffer, our floating point, whatever, our, God forbid, whatever, random garbage stuff. And yeah, this is the only thing what could cost them theoretically, but yeah, software patents, well, whatever. But otherwise, just release a freaking specification. And I said earlier, if we purchase something and we own it, like you, with your good old money, you, by the way, is this, I really hate, if this is expansion, yeah, this is expansion full, I really hate expansion full, so does this make more sense? I really hate when companies sell you stuff and then you don't own it like fully, like you can't do whatever you please with it. And in my opinion, you should have get the full specification, that if you are professional, you can use it however you please. That includes using it on Linux, BSD, your microkernel, L4, Herd, whatever, you name it. And it's this is also why I don't buy NVIDIA, except when it comes in the PS3. But even there we triggered Sony and NVIDIA for running Linux on this. So now we are repeating ourselves a little bit with this to be seen, but I also need to do all the, as I said, not only your entertainment with fun, exceptional stuff, but also I need to build the audience to have here the means of future projects, doing this here at all, just for the historic documentation sake. And anyway, if you have any ideas how to improve this, accept better gaming, maybe I already have this IT news show, maybe there on this other channel. If you're interested in security vulnerabilities, you can support me watching this on the More Life channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Also, we can zoom in there for the better screen capture, obviously. And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And I hope to see you soon for all the next hacking, reverse engineering, FPGA, hardware synthesis, and stuff to come. And in general, a fun tip, if you just want to support this channel, you can just leave the videos running there in a window. Just keep watching them in the background. Oops, darn, you wait here, what a fail, you wait here and then just yeah, just keep this videos running, and to support this channel, all views count, and recommend it to your friends and family. Okay, fine, that's it for today. Let's see, someday we will try it on a Spark, maybe on a PowerPC. Definitely when we got the RSX running well enough to run Quake 3. And yeah, let's shut this down, get home to the family. Do I leave this running? I could actually leave this. Do I? You know what? I do maybe do this another, or do I do not? Problem is this Matrox card gets fun thing is because it's passive. It gets rather hot here, which is also fun fact why usually I use this transmitter efficient. If you want to see transmitter efficient stuff also here on this channel. And previously I had this in the thin client that I sometimes use otherwise. Do I... you know what, I can probably... you know what, maybe I do it tomorrow or something. Anyway, let's shut it down and go home. So yeah, welcome to Sutku, welcome everyone, thanks for the recurring subscribers, viewers. Hope you learned something, hope you had some fun, and as usual, catch you next time.